Eek. A disabled person.
At that horrifying exclamation, as if seeing something repulsive, I held my breath. I couldn't believe it. In this situation, that person would ever. Faced with such unexpected malice, I felt like I was standing at the edge of despair. I'm Amy, 25 years old, and I was born unable to move my legs. Ever since I can remember, I've lived my life in a wheelchair. Since I've spent my whole life with these legs, I usually don't let it bother me too much when people throw the word disabled at me. To be honest, the sad truth is that I can't afford to let it bother me if I want to keep going. Even at crosswalks, I frequently hear drivers of stopped cars yell things like,
Hurry up and cross right now, you disabled person.
Why was I so shocked that I held my breath? It was because the person who blurted out disabled person was supposed to be my future sister-in-law, Riley. My brother John used to care about me so much that in his elementary school essay about his dreams, he wrote, "I want to become strong enough to carry my sister up mountains on my back." That dream had transformed into his passion for working out. In college, he started the bodybuilding club and became the captain, and even after graduating, he kept exercise equipment at home. John had completely turned into a fitness fanatic. One day, he announced that he was getting married to a colleague from work and wanted to introduce his future wife to us all. Then, that day arrived. The day before that, I had asked John,
Hey, John. I should ask. Have you told your girlfriend about, my condition?
Of course I have.
John had laughed heartily while drinking his protein shake with his hand on his hip.
Riley's looking forward to meeting you.
He had even said so. Therefore, I never imagined that she would say such a terrible thing when she saw me. While I sat there stunned, Riley turned her face away. We had dinner and everything seemed pleasant. However, during that time, she never once looked in my direction. Later that day, she joined our family's group chat. From that day, I would be tormented by her phone calls all day and night. The first time it happened was the day after our initial meeting. It was already past midnight. My phone rang while I was sleeping.
It's me.
Who is this?
Didn't you check the caller ID? Seriously, disabled people are always like this. You must have been so spoiled growing up. You're completely thoughtless.
I recognized the voice. It was Riley, John's fiancée. Of course, I hadn't checked the screen since I was asleep after midnight. Before I could say anything, she dropped a bombshell.
I'll send you a wedding invitation, but since having a wheelchair-bound disabled person would be embarrassing for the family, I want you to decline it. Yet, make sure to send a $5,000 wedding gift since you're well off.
Excuse me?
Didn't you hear me? I said I'll send an invitation, but you're an embarrassment to my family, so I want you to decline it. And remember, $5,000 for the gift.
What?
Look, don't make me repeat myself. You are not to come to the wedding.
Wait, how did we get here? I keep asking because I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh boy. As a disabled person, you lack comprehension skills, too. Let me explain it slowly to you. First, I'll send you an invitation for your sake, but I don't want you to come. This is the first time I've seen a disabled person up close, and it honestly gives me the creeps. I'm disgusted by anything that's not normal. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. We can't show that reality to the wedding guests, can we? Plus, we'll be eating. Could you eat with a cockroach in front of you?
I'm a cockroach?
If not a cockroach, then a centipede or a fly, take your pick.
That's not even the issue here.
Riley's irrational behavior continued.
Also, I asked John what kind of person his sister was. I wanted to know about your personality. And all he said was,
She stays at home playing video games.
Oh, John. His brain really was all muscle. That explanation was way too oversimplified.
Isn't it shocking? Your family's wealthy, right? You're like a leech, parasitizing off your parents and just playing video games all day, using your disability as an excuse not to work. Don't you think that's messed up? We'll eventually have to work and be independent. But you'll keep living off your parents until they die, using your disability as an excuse. I hear you get disability benefits too, so you're making money just for existing. It's like you're running a disability business. You're exposing your condition to society and getting paid for it. Since you're so well off, you should give a proper wedding gift. Consider this. You can rely on your parents, but we cannot. Therefore, we require additional funds for the future as well. Understand?
Riley finished her rant and hung up abruptly. I listened to her words in shock. Anyway, I was so sleepy. My head was spinning, but exhaustion won out and I fell asleep. The next day, Riley called early in the morning.
Hey, what's your answer? About yesterday's conversation, you know.
I really don't understand what you're talking about.
You don't understand? You really are slow, aren't you? So, like I said.
The previous day's conversation started repeating endlessly. Once again, I fell asleep holding my phone. When I came to, it was 7 a.m. The call was still connected.
Are you listening? You can't argue back because I'm right, can't you?
It's been 2 hours.
I answered groggily.
What? Complaining about the phone bill? Think you're clever with that comeback? As expected, disabled people have tiny brains. Too bad for you, I have unlimited calling. So, we have an understanding, right?
The call ended. Wasn't this time delayed attack too much? There's a limit to being inconsiderate. I wheeled myself into the living room, intending to show John the call history.
Oh, you're up. Beautiful day, isn't it?
My picture-perfect muscular brother said so, adjusting his tie with toast in his mouth.
John, about that.
Just as I was about to show him my phone, he suddenly burst out.
Riley said something so touching yesterday. As her future husband and as a brother, it brought tears to my eyes.
What do you mean?
Yesterday, she said she wanted to throw the bouquet so Amy could catch it. She said,
Since Amy is in a wheelchair, I want to pray she finds someone wonderful who will take care of her for life, so I want her to catch the bouquet.
Man, it makes me cry. I blurted out, all right, let's practice throwing it to the right spot. We're going to play catch at the big park next week.
What the heck? That woman was acting all sweet and saying things like that to John, while making those horrible phone calls to me.
That's great. I'm looking forward to it.
I said so, suppressing my anger and adding a touch of sarcasm. However, what I was really looking forward to was something else. Fine. I would accept this challenge. I began carefully preparing for battle. The phone calls continued relentlessly because I hadn't given her the answer she wanted. Perhaps getting anxious, she increased their frequency.
Hey, you're not coming to the wedding, right? If you show up, I'll scream traitor in front of everyone. If you care about your brother, you couldn't possibly come, right?
She was using John's position to blackmail me. I recorded our entire conversation using an app. With the speaker mode on, it captured everything clearly. I tossed the phone on my bed because she was annoying. I could hear her screeching but couldn't make out what she was saying anymore. Ignoring the call, I casually took out my gaming console.
Well, time for some monster hunting simulation.
I would defeat this woman. Until I gathered enough evidence, I might as well hunt some monsters in the virtual world. Let's go hunting. I booted up the game called Monster Hunter. After 3 hours, when I was getting bored of hunting, the call finally ended.
May 10th, 11:35 p.m. Recording completed. Duration 2 hours and 48 minutes.
Said the app's narration. What I love about this app is how it precisely records the date and time. I closed my phone screen, laughing at the contrast between Riley's hysterical voice and the app's mechanical narration. By the time the total recording time exceeded 100 hours, I had played through all my games. Figuring it was time, I decided to talk to John.
Could we meet with Riley's parents before the wedding?
I was thinking the same thing. You know what they say, dating is between two people, but marriage is between families. It's better if the parents and relatives get to know each other better.
My muscle-brained brother John was easily convinced. So it was arranged. Their family of 3, and our side with our parents, John, and me, that is, 7 people total for dinner. When we arrived at the venue, her parents greeted us warmly, saying,
"Hello, thank you for coming today."
Meanwhile, Riley wouldn't look at me. In fact, when I tried to pass through in my wheelchair, she deliberately blocked my way.
What is she? A middle schooler?
I thought to myself in disgust. Though I suppose you'd need a middle schooler's mentality to make 100 hours worth of harassing phone calls. I ignored her childish behavior, imagining what was about to unfold. In the private room of the fancy restaurant John had chosen for wheelchair accessibility, after the parents exchanged greetings and some safe small talk, I casually began.
By the way, there's something I'd like to address here today.
Everyone turned to look at me. Only Riley turned away.
I was born with a disability that prevents me from moving my legs.
Her father nodded.
I heard about it from Riley, but that doesn't matter to me. I myself have very poor eyesight, only 20 by 400. I believe nobody's perfect anyway.
I thought her father was a good person. Someone who can choose such inclusive words in these situations is fair-minded. I decided to bet on his sincerity.
Thank you. However, I often face misunderstandings. I'd like to share this CD. Here's one for you too, John.
I opened my pre-powered tablet and handed it to him. Looking puzzled, John inserted the CD into the tablet. 2 files appeared.
This one,
I said, tapping one of them. Riley's angry voice blared from the tablet.
Listen, if you dare show up at the wedding, I'll never forgive you. This isn't just about me. I'm saying this for all the guests, my invitees, and John's. Just accept that you're an embarrassment to my family and decline it. Just send me $5,000 as a gift without saying anything. Got it?
May 12th, 3:11 a.m. Recording completed. Duration 1 hour 59 minutes.
What in the world?
John was the first to stand up.
What's going on?
He looked back and forth between Riley and me while standing. Meanwhile, Riley turned pale and her lips looked the same even with a red lipstick.
I received these calls at these unreasonable hours from your fiancé here.
I tapped to show the recording file details.
The total call time exceeds 100 hours.
124 hours?
Riley's father choked out. I looked around at everyone present. They were all stunned.
I'm sorry to say I won't play everything here, but I've prepared a digest version. I'll share copies with you.
It wasn't anything complicated. Using an audio editing tool, I condensed 124 hours into a greatest hits collection. I was personally satisfied with how comprehensive it turned out. I felt incredibly content knowing I was about to present my masterpiece on that day. The 30-minute digest version began playing.
You disabled person. Have you no shame? How did your parents raise you? It's crazy they don't understand you're a family embarrassment. I can easily imagine my parents fainting if they saw a disabled person in real life. After all, I'm perfect and everyone tells me how beautiful I am. I should get at least $10,000 as a wedding gift, but I'll settle for $5,000 if you promise never to show your face again.
Riley's voice echoed loudly through the room. However, they didn't get to hear my masterpiece until the end.
Riley, what kind of person are you?
John shouted mid-playback, stopping it. At that moment, Riley's face turned flushed from pale. She seemed to turn defiant, or maybe she just snapped.
Well, it's true. You don't understand because you've always lived with her. Disabled people are disgusting and a family embarrassment.
She screamed, her hair disheveled. Her father cut her off.
Hey, Riley. I'm disabled too since I can't see anything without glasses.
No, that's not the same.
Riley stammered, looking like a goldfish gasping for air. Then John chimed in.
I'm disabled too since I have more muscles than normal people.
I'm disabled because of my curved spine,
Added Riley's mother.
That's different.
Riley screamed, her voice on the verge of tears.
Dad, Mom, John, those things are normal. But this woman, she's not normal. Showing off her ugly form, pretending to be weak, getting sympathy, and then
Pretending to be weak?
I finally exploded with anger.
So what? Are you admitting those long phone calls were harassment targeting someone you thought was weak?
well, that's...
At that moment, a strong, resolute voice spoke up.
our daughter is not weak.
Everyone turned to look at the speaker. It was my mother.
You called our daughter weak. Do you know what she's achieved with her immobile legs? Because she can't walk, she's been more prepared than anyone since childhood about the challenges of living independently. While you were out taking walks and playing at the beach with friends, she was working hard. Why don't you try playing games with her? You'll find the roles reversed from reality.
My chest tightened with emotion at my mother's conviction in how she raised me. Then I looked down at Riley and said,
I won't lose any sports. Want to try? You can choose any game you like.
Riley collapsed to the floor.
You should drop this monster.
I said to John.
You're right. You saved me. I can't imagine having a wedding without my sister there, and Mom and Dad would never allow it either. Riley, let's end this today.
This was how John's engagement came to an end. Riley's kind and gentle parents apologized profusely for their daughter's misconduct and covered all the wedding cancellation costs. Later, I heard she quit her job after the story spread around the office and she couldn't bear to stay. After that incident, I won an esports championship. When asked in an interview,
How did you become so strong?
I answered,
That's because I can't move my legs.
when people have limitations in one area, they often develop talents in another. I smiled as I placed the trophy on my immobile knees.